the breath in my lungs. This can't hold me. No man. Start a revolution with no man control. I'm gonna sound off. Start a revolution with the breath in my lungs. Sound off. Sound off.
Hey, good evening and welcome to Sound Off. It's just me tonight, guys. I'm going live for a full 2 hours of just me blasting everybody. Just joking. Not going to do that tonight. Tonight, it's a very special, I think one of our first times of ever doing something like this where we're going to get to know the Shadow of the Locust crew. If you don't know who the Shadow of the Locust crew is, well, you will tonight. Tonight, it's about finding out who these guys are, the history, and find out where they're going from here. So tonight, I introduce Jeremiah Dirt. Dirt.
Oh man,
there you are.
I was like intently listening to your sultry voice.
I know. I mean, it's been a while, right? We also have with us Illustrate. And
Illustrate.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing. Tonight we also have Samuel Oxymoron.
Sam Ox.
What's up, everybody?
One of my favorite videos that come out in the last 5 years is your video with Mr. Jeremiah Dirt.
With the puppets?
Yes.
Oh, that was so much fun.
We'll have to get that on here sometime soon. But and we got Kodak. First time meeting this guy.
What's going on, family?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing all right. You ready for this?
It's like the Brady
Always.
Bunch.
Yeah.
I know, right?
The hip hop, the cool underground hip hop.
Hey, but who would be Alice in the middle? Like Alice is in the middle, right? Alice the maid.
Yep.
Like,
Oh yeah, there you go.
Doug's Alice. Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Alice now.
And behind the scenes, we have Mr. Chris Bailey.
What's
Chris.
up, everybody?
Chris.
I am the official DJ for tonight, if you guys didn't know. So I'm going to be rocking all the tracks in the background. Tonight, I am the Shadow of the Locust because I am the Shadow.
He's in the shadows. Wow. All right. That's how this show's going to go.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Yes, sir. That's how it's gonna go. Hasn't it always gone that way, though?
Yes.
But so I kind of wanted to put together a show. Dirt and I talked about it to promote a mighty army Cometh, Volume 2.
Tongue twister, say it 5 times
Yes.
fast.
Ooh, right.
And the reality is that you guys are one of the only crews left within the Christian hip hop forum. I mean, LA Symphony's not around. Deep Space 5, I don't even know if they're doing anything anymore. So with Shadow of the Locust kind of becoming center stage for the crew in Christian hip hop, why doesn't somebody give me some background history? Sam or Illustrate or whoever wants to take the lead on that.
Well, of course I can help, but if you guys want to, maybe I'll just kind of be in the background. But
No. Start it off, bro. Get it started.
But the start is simply just a young Mr. Dirt. I've always loved music, and music has always been the way Christ has talked to me or encouraged me, and so I grew up in the hip hop culture, and I started off as a b-boy. But by the time I hit about 13 years old, I totally quit b-boying because I hope if you guys are hearing that, I can figure out how to turn it here. Let me do this. B-boying became very destructive to my body. And I was like, there's got to be something less destructive in hip hop. And so I did a talent show at my school and I rapped and people just loved it. I was just kind of joking around, honestly. I was like, I'm going to do this and have fun with it. People loved it so much. So I just kept writing, kept performing. And I was in a couple crews in my early teens. I met up with Seven Lock in San Diego, where that nice sunny Sam Ox is right now. Nice weather, looking great down there. And me and Seven Lock would just go around to these hip hop events in San Diego, California, every week in clubs. And, you know, San Diego was one of the tour spots. You would go from San Francisco to LA to San Diego, and then kind of, start touring south. So we would just show up at these spots. We were never invited to half of them. I had 10 years of dreads at the time, and so people just thought I was part of some music band, and we found our way into a lot of these events and opened up for a lot of people. And me and Seven Lock were just like crazy about freestyling, not battling as much. Seven Lock kind of was more battle rap, but just freestyling. And so we just met a lot of people through that. And fast forward, I kind of came up with the name Shadow of the Locust. Jeremiah Dirt is obviously my solo name, just like all these guys, Illustrate, Kodak, Sam Ox have their names, but together we're a crew, and that's Shadow of the Locust. So, within Shadow of the Locust, the ministry idea is just the book of Joel, where Joel talks about a plague of locusts, and he's using the plague of locusts in his current day to express how the day of the Lord is going to be, and how God's army is going to be and really should be. So when you read about these locusts, they get a bad rap, but if you pay attention to what Joel's saying, is they're just doing what God, Joel 2:11 says, the Lord thunders at the head of this army. So they're just doing what God is asking them to do, but what he's asking them to do is be his judgment. So I decided early on that I wanted to be surrounded by a crew like the gentleman you see here, and we got a female, Sam's sister too. So females invited too. Basically MCs and hip hop artists that like are warriors for Christ and want to not sugarcoat the messages and of the gospel and the judgment of the Lord. I think you guys can add your 2 cents, but to me, the judgment of the Lord, I get why people are offended or taken back by it, but it's actually an invitation. It's actually an act of love. Every time that God judges in the Bible, it's always like, hey, repent first. Repent. And then the holiness has to kick in at a certain point. So to me, the Shadow of the Locust moniker is us telling hip hop, things are a little bit wild and secular, and we kind of need to return to our roots of God and holiness and kindness and gentleness. And if not, then we'll, slap you around a little bit before we go. Your choice, though. Join the Locust. That's the idea. Is you can join the Locust. You don't have to be victim to the aftermath of God's judgment. You can be part of God's blessing. It's your choice. So,
I mean, I guess Sam was quiet and Illustrate was quiet, but that guy in the middle was just talking. So
there it took off. You see a crew right now where the crew fluctuated throughout the decades. This was back in the late 90s. I got all excited. I wrote this Locust Papri. You can go to locustfist.com, look for the Locust Papri. It's this vision statement. I've never changed it since I wrote it, so it's not outdated, but I wrote it when I was really young. And right now you're seeing the culmination of just awesome, God-fearing, God-loving artists that are part of the Shadow of the Locust crew. And we just get together and try to put out projects together to minister to people through the culture of hip hop.
Well, and I'm sorry, bro, but the crazy thing about that philosophy, that thinking of from Scripture, Joel chapter 2, that a mighty army cometh, and Dirt was saying like the locusts get a bad rap, but you could actually hear that idea of the judgment, or even the holiness of God, the fight. Ephesians 6, we don't fight against flesh and blood, but against principality, spirits, and all that thing. And you could hear it within Plague. Peppered through Plague, you could hear Dirt talking about battling fools, battling evil. I had never heard anything like that. You know, I'm like 18 years old. Mama's trying to get me to get to church and, you know, have Jesus in my life because I was rebellious and I was doing my own thing. And rap, you know, Christian rap was extremely, you know, it was extremely corny during the 90s. You know, there was a lot of corniness going, a lot of corn, a lot of elote going on, you know. So like when I came across Plague and I was hearing not only Christ-centric, cryptic at that, but Christ-centric, hearing Christ-centric lyrics, but also like battle lyrics that were battling the forces of evil and battling MCs, not for the sake of like clout or shine, but for the sake of holiness, the sake of representing a God who owns everything. How dare you take a breath and say that and stand in a place of entitlement when God is the one? I don't care where you come from. God is the one who put that breath in your lungs. So it's like, who do you think you are with this bravado, trying to spit like you're something? Like I heard in Plague, like, you know, just an attack and an assault on that. And I'll be honest, a part of me was kind of like, you know, is this Christian? You know, you know what I mean? I'll be honest, like there was I had to put it away and had to contemplate, because I was a baby Christian at the time, you know, and when I came across Plague, and I was like, man, this is some pretty aggressive stuff, man. But it spoke to me, man. I spoke the language of hip hop. I was a cat who God used hip hop to reveal himself to me. And when I saw that, it just blew my mind, man. And you know, so it isn't just the philosophy of a cool name like Shadow Locust, you know, like a lot of people will relate the crew and the sound of the crew ever since '97 to Wu-Tang, right? But you know, that it wasn't just a Wu-Tang copycat. It was, look, this is hip hop culture, and you know,
it was wild, Sam. I was on the you know, I grew up with you out there in Cali, or specifically, you know, San Diego, but I was a white kid, you know, on the West Coast where we were really just birthing gangsta rap, but my heart was like full blown underground. It was just, I think that's why Seven Lock and I got so popular, because we would go to these spots and there would be all these like gangster rappers, and then we came in with like these words and the substance, but none of the biggest, I guess it would be, to me, it was a compliment, but the biggest statement I would hear after a lot of these shows is, because we'd be in the pit of like these hard secular spots. Remember, Doug, you remember Soma's and Brick by Brick?
Oh, yeah.
You know, places like that where it was just hard, everybody smoking and drinking and fighting and mosh pitting and, you know, break dancing. And we would go and either freestyle or do some of our, you know, tracks that we might have had. And the biggest thing we would hear is, are you guys like Christian? And we'd be like, I mean, yeah, but why do you say that? And they'd be like, because you didn't cuss once. You know, we had substance, and that's what I love about you guys and this crew, is that we're still trying to offer hip hop that was supposed to be a culture of words and substance. We're still trying to offer to the peoples. And like I said in the beginning, free will, you take it or you don't.
Well,
what up, Nomadic?
Yeah, Nomadic Vagabond has joined us.
I want to show DJ Chris this so he can salivate in the background. This is still wrapped up. It's a cassette of Plague, the album that Sam Ox is talking about. Still wrapped.
Okay, bro. You know where that goes.
Original.
You know where that goes, bro.
I'll sell it right now.
eBay, $14.99.
No, that's just a gift. That's just a gift.
So, I mean, the first time I heard Dirt was at Cornerstone 97. And before that, all we had was like, and nothing against PID, SFC, any of those crew. We had.
I loved SFC. That was one of my.
Oh yeah, I mean, even had like LPG and stuff like that. But like LPG was very hard to get. being I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, so you had to mail order that stuff, and usually Journey didn't ever sent it. But love that guy. But
Yep.
the fact is that when I heard Dirt, it was completely different. Like, it took me into the secular realm of what I was listening to as in the secular music. So when I heard Dirt, I heard essence of Wu-Tang, Cypress Hill, just that it was the beats.
sound.
It was, the sound was just dark.
sound.
And it was, and Plague versus A War to Restore is two completely different records. Two completely different times. And if you want to talk about like spiritual warfare, A War to Restore had that from beginning to end.
Yep.
Trust me, there was spiritual warfare going on with that record the whole time.
Doug, you were behind the scenes, and so you're very aware of all the stuff that was going on behind the scenes.
I just know, I just know that when we were touring together and we were out on the road, everybody's like, "What's Shadow of the Locust? What? How do we get part of that?" And we're, selling shirts.
It was confusing to people because even on the album, the cover, it says Dirt kind of hidden in the back, and then it says Shadow Locust presents Plague, and so people would always remember, Doug, they would always introduce me as like
Shadow
my
the
name was Shadow the Locust.
Hey, I'll
Tonight
be
we have
honest.
MC Shadow the Locust, and I'd be like,
Not Dirt.
it was hard to get people to understand the vision.
That's what I thought, man. When I went and I copped that album, I didn't even know the guy's name was Dirt. I thought it was, this is called Shadow of the Locust.
Right.
And then I'm hearing Dirt throughout the album, and then I'm looking like I have to squint my eyes at the front of the album. Oh, Dirt. Oh, that's okay. Yeah,
Yep.
all right.
Right.
Yep.
So from the get-go, SOTL has had some marketing problems, I guess, but we here, Doug, everybody knows me because I'm a world famous international rap star. I'm very charming and debonair, and I'm just everybody knows me. But why don't you take some time and talk with each of these dudes and get
Definitely.
a little bit of their background.
So I'm actually going to start off with Illustrate because I know there might be some time restraints. But Illustrate, give me a basic history of, here, all of you, think about your top 5 favorite hip hop songs, Christian, non-Christian, whatever, or albums, so they can get to know your style. 2, I want a basic rundown of your history and how you came into the Shadow of the Locust crew. So we'll start off with Illustrate.
Okay. As far as top 5 Christian hip hop songs, Plague is definitely top of the list. I
got a copy for $500 if you want. It's on cassette.
All right, we'll talk afterwards. So. Like for real, that album revolutionized how my squad back then, how we approached doing music, because we were just trying to figure out how we were going to do what we were doing. Christian hip hop was fairly new in Denver, where I was living at the time, and a lot of churches still weren't open to it. And then, we hear Dirt, and we're like, man, this guy's just doing it the way we want to do it. So it really left a major impact on how we proceeded and just create music from there. Other artists I've really looked up to is like Mars Ill, like Manchild is one of my favorite MCs ever. I've been fortunate to collab with him a few times.
And we got him. This is one of the singles that we're going to share later, and he's on it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't have that one sealed. Mine's open.
I was going to say Nomadic, and I know Kodak
Nice.
are trying to catch up to my record collection, so they got some nice stuff. Nomadic.
Go ahead,
some
Illustrate.
nice albums in the back.
So, so another favorite artist would be Eshawn Burgundy. Just his whole, Good Grief is when I'm really going through stuff, I can just lock myself in a room and just play that on repeat for hours, and just kind of I pray to that song, like when I've really gone through some significant things in my life, just because it just reminds you, like, it doesn't matter how bad it is or what you're going through, just look up. There's always a clear sky above you, you know. So I'm trying to think of, there's so many artists I've listened to over the years that you know have impacted me in a lot of ways. Even like locally in Colorado where I came up, like MVP and Rolla, they're good friends of mine, and I work with them in an organization called G Life Outreach, and we do a lot of homeless outreaches and youth detention centers. But those guys are always bringing it. They're very passionate about the word of God and reaching their cities. And I've learned a lot from them just about evangelism and just even how to do outreaches from people. So, you know, so it's not all just like artists that have inspired me simply because of their music, but you know, sometimes it's just people I've known and I've seen stuff they've gone through and how they approach ministry. And, you know, it's just kind of helped me formulate what I need to be doing as an artist and as a minister of the gospel. And yeah, you know, I just stay open and continue to learn from people as I, you know, continue to meet and work with them, and yeah, just keep growing from there.
One of Illustrate's gifts, in my humble opinion, is that I feel like he's a monotone rapper like I am, and then you start listening to his. Well, it's not a but. I love monotone rappers. It's not like a bad thing, but. He's taken that monotone, you know, element to a real height, and you'll listen to him, and his gift is like he knows how to just talk about life in a super relevant way. The one of the song about the hip hop dads, you know, just every time I hear that song, I'm like, that song is so. But he makes whole albums like that where it's just you want to just listen to him talk about normal life, whereas anybody else doing it, you'd be bored with it. You'd be like, yeah, whatever. I love how Illustrate can just make things really relevant and you know, excitable to listen to. So it's a gift.
That means a lot. Appreciate that.
So Illustrate, Dirt gave me some history a little bit. I didn't know, and I'm surprised I didn't know, is that you were with Frost T.
Yeah. Frost and I go back fairly good ways.
I haven't talked to that guy since, I want to say, GMA 1999.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him since he got us kicked out of an all-you-could-eat buffet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he actually called me a couple weeks ago. We chopped it up for probably about 20, 30 minutes, just catching up on life and everything.
I mean, it's so with you've been around for a while, obviously. Well, how long have you been, how long have you been doing that?
I released my first solo album back in 96, and I was working with a crew called the Lord's Fellowship back then. It was me, my boy Dent, Joe Be Real, Scooby Kennedy, Diaconeo, there was Felisa, there was Quest. There was a lot of us, man. That's the cover. My homie Scribe drew that for me. Like, he did my first two covers, but yeah, he hand drew that entire thing. So
did DJ Chris throw that up? Because
yes, he did.
I know it.
He'll be dropping stuff in between this all night long.
I don't know if you guys heard, but DJ Chris in the background is like phenomenal knowledge database of Christian hip hop. He was trying to talk about some dude in Germany. No, I put my money on DJ Chris over there.
Illustrate, you family man?
Yeah, I have 3 kids. Their ages, they're all teenagers now, so they're all about to be 17, 18, and 20. So
how do they feel about you still kicking this around?
They're cool with it, you know.
Your boy just did that track, didn't he?
Yeah, my son makes music. He does more like this indie rock kind of stuff now, but he started out making beats and then was dabbling with rapping a little bit. And then, yeah, he just went his own direction. He's doing his thing. And I'm like, man, I wish I was half that good at his age. You know, it's pretty incredible to watch him.
So the track, Dirt, should we play that now? since he's here?
Yeah. If you got something, I think the one with the man-child is, with Illustrate too.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, because you guys know I'm always working on projects. I get stuff, But you gave me this track, Illustrate, because you were like, I'm gonna get rid of it because I don't remember who made the beat.
Justice Rhymes made the beat.
And then you just had all the samples going through. And so when you hit me up, you were like, I got this one track, but I think I'm just gonna, because I forget the words you use, and they don't go on to who made the beat. It was because all the samples were just going through with no sequencing. And I think the word you used were like, I just don't know what to do with it. Like, I want to say you said bored, but you were like, we did all this work, right. And it doesn't flow right. And so you gave it to me, and I was like, dude, it's got Man-Child on it, and we got to put it on this album. And all I did was take it and just sequence it. Drums go out here, sequence. And man, this is a dope track, Doug. So this is Play Around My Way. It's got DJ Care on the cuts, which is phenomenal. And it's got Illustrate, Man-Child, and who is it? Orion? Yeah. And Orion is one of our should-be Shadow of the Locust kind of guys. I mean, he loves the crew, number one, but number two, he's just super talented. But, take it away. You guys get to hear Illustrate right now. Oh, wait, Doug. Yeah. Wait.
Pause it.
Or DJ Chris.
DJ Chris. Pause it.
We're just playing songs and not promoting the fact that this is from the upcoming album that we're going to release.
Oh, we got it. It's going to be there.
It's got me diving in face first to ensure the bass works. Get lost within the rhythm to express the newest verse. It inspires me to rhyme with my fellow line makers. Stay in control with a free flow, collabing with beat breakers. Steady movers and shakers, you can see the expressions. Got that gleam in our eyes to test skills and teach lessons. Pay respect to those before and set the bar for the young guns. Expect a higher standard than the place that we started from. It inspires and saturates to unleash the creative. Pull the trigger of theatrics while remaining meditative. It's simply qualitative to the finely tuned ear. The circle's regulative if the rhyme is unclear. Stimulated to the movement that simply holds true here. Rehabilitative nuance until the moment disappears. Been speaking for years through every bar that's been stated. I stepped out for a minute, but returned to relate it.
DJ Care makes these choruses, bro.
Yeah.
And Justice makes dope beats, bro, because he did that other one that we worked on too.
I'm the someone and here's the needle. It's a ORION. I attribute audible ordinances.
Oh my goodness.
That's Orion.
To play around my way, no recess. Time to educate, man. Shot like faith demonstrate. Illuminate ways to be humble as beast. To love an enemy makes one receive a name. Graduate, radiant road, rising faith. Don't be a bozo, don't be a bozo. Barricade, playground, masquerade of hate. Don't settle for heat, don't settle to speed. University, higher level with heat. University, piety, pilots, the artists.
Yo, that flow is sick.
Archie, artifacts, Elohim, needles are arrowing in, narrowing enemy sovereignty. So can't you see? We three MCs will leave thee salivating, needing to see what we teach. Detect dialect, directed intellect, dilate the people. No need recess.
Come on. Orion is kind of like Kodak sometimes. Just makes me mad. Makes me want to rap better, dude. I'm like, what the heck? How do you rap like that?
Hey, I like this track 100%.
Yeah.
Man.
Illustrate, that is like one of the best verses I've ever heard you spit, bro. Like, man, for real.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
My goodness. And then on that beat, bro, oh my gosh.
Appreciate that.
It takes equal parts of
That's going to be playing in the car for a little bit.
Yeah.
Top signature cursive artist deliver report party rocking shopping malls and cinemas.
That dude always brings it.
Remedy giving off an identity. The difference is winning, and this is hitting my enemies. I might stand certified, a handheld, a person. Why am I a piece of history? My style is too diversified. personal lives are plastered over tracks for your to view. I've called a couple thousand times and tried to pay for all of you. No refunds, Roger rocking the reruns. My footprints are hollowed out to follow about what we've done. Poking holes in arguments, Capri Sun. Shining like a solar panel, soaking up the energy to teach one. I pre-drums so my heart murmurs can shout it out. Doubted international, but legendary round the south. Pound for pound, the ground Townie's greatest asset. Nobody recognized the minds, just remember your last set.
I've seen your kind before. A little skill,
Wow.
a knack.
Man, them samples are good.
Yes.
I like how you add the theater to it.
Yeah.
Cuts.
I like how Kodak just sat back and just received it. He was like,
He was like,
he's like, give it all
that's
to
what we
me.
want. That's what we want.
Ooh.
Oh, the samples, you know, as I hear the songs, I remember you mixing them down. The samples I got from a Twilight Zone. You guys remember that Twilight Zone show where the pool hustler gets hustled, kind of?
Yeah, yeah.
I do.
And that's and then you find out at the end of the show that it's the devil, you know,
Right.
the guy that hustles the hustler, and that's him saying, "Oh, I've seen your kind before. You know, when things get tough, you fold. You know." So
Alfred Hitchcock, you gotta love that.
yeah, that track is dope, man. Justice on the beats and those three MCs. I mean, and DJ Care just always a DJ just when a DJ is talented and knows what he or she is doing, just makes a song.
Yes.
You could have whack rappers,
And
but
it
if the
sounds
DJ
perfectly
is
fine.
dope, it sounds fine. But on that song, we have some very dope MCs, so I love that track.
So, how many songs are on this new album?
All right, A Mighty Army Cometh Volume 2, the letters G through R. You know, we basically just running through the alphabet. This one has 22 songs, actually 23, because DJ Rob and I just did the outro track. Was that yesterday, guys, or 2 days ago? So 23 tracks.
Yep.
Awesome.
And we try to pack these albums. We don't be putting no interludes and, you know,
Space fillers.
yeah, some dumb, you know, fluff songs. We try to pack these albums. So it's a 23 tracks of holy hip hop, just God glorifying hip hop. There's, you know, about a third of them that are real topical. A lot of them that are like that one is, I think why Illustrate shines a little more, Sam, is because, like I said, he's real talented at like taking life and making it fun and relatable. But in that track, he just went like backpack hoodie hip hop style, you know. And so it was, you know, for us at least, it was kind of like, oh, dang, Illustrate.
Nah, he wrote that beat, bro. Like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, the music needs to get back to that because whatever they're doing in the secular realm is not working.
For real.
I turn that crap off right quick. There's there's nothing good anymore, in my opinion. But I'm gonna move down the line. So,
well, let me say hi to my boy Nomadic down there, man.
That's what I'm. That's who I'm going to first.
I'm leaving. Bye.
Mr. Nomadic Vagabond. How you doing, man?
I'm back.
Yeah, you're back.
What's up, yo?
What's going on? How you doing?
Is Nomadic there?
Yeah, he's there. It froze up for a second.
Sorry, dude. I think y'all hear me. I think
yeah, we hear you now.
It's glitching.
Yeah, I hear you now.
So, yeah, there we go. I'm seeing movement, but
cool.
Yeah,
there we go. So, Nomadic, how did you? What's your top 5 songs or albums?
Top 5 songs are out. Well, I mean, all time, it's like Plague is probably definitely one of my favorite LPs. Good Medicine is probably my favorite track off that. Sorry. Illadelph Half-Life by the Roots.
Did he just apologize for
Illmatic,
Good Medicine?
of course.
That was crazy. Good Medicine was dope.
Well, I know it's just that one seems to get a lot of love,
Yeah, it does.
you know, and
Mustard Seed.
I don't want to say it outshine.
I still have to
Right. I don't want to say
see their shows.
it. What Eldelf Half-Life by the Roots. Factors is a 7 by Grits. I think that's
Classic.
a classic.
That's
I
a
don't
classic.
care, whatever. It's just a classic hip hop
It's classic.
LP that everybody needs to hear. What's that? That's 4. I guess. I mean, 36 Chambers, man. Like.
Whoo, protect
Yes.
that neck.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I like Wu Tang, but I kind of like Jew Tang more. But
Yeah, I've heard that.
He's stupid. He's like,
Oh.
Dirk knows how to end the. We're done.
I know, right?
Let's shut that down. So I'm. How did you get involved with Shadow Locust?
Well, I first heard Mr. Jeremiah Dirt on POD's Brown album. So I was probably one of 5 people who knew that it was Dirt, not Shadow the Locust when Plague dropped. And so I mean I just dug his style, and I think a lot of it too, especially like when you read like the liner notes with like the like the scrolls and stuff like that, it was kind of Dead Sea Scrollsy and whatnot. It had this. I'm a huge reggae fan, so I know Jeremiah is too. That's another reason him and I connected, was just via like reggae, like roots reggae and stuff. And so it had this Old Testament, New Testament vibe, like I think just very well played together. And it was just raw, real, authentic hip hop, and that's what I've always gravitated towards. So when I was
just
like,
real quick, the liner notes I've told you guys is I always encourage anybody I'm working with or just curious. Is to me, curiosity is the best way to minister. You can tell somebody about Jesus, but if they didn't ask first, then they're most likely going to be like, I didn't ask. So it's like you're forcing it on them. So I learned early on, fortunately, to create curiosity. And Nomadic, that whole story is a work of fiction to symbolize the goals of Shadow the Locust. The God tablets first, and the army next. So it was just a creative way, but a lot of people thought it was real. A lot of people thought I went to a National Geographic magazine and pulled it out. Now, I'm not going to open this because this is worth millions of dollars, but if you do open,
the price went up already.
Yeah, 500 to $1 million since we're on.
There's people bidding right now.
Yeah, since we're on the Take on the World, it's going up now. So, if you do look, the one picture that's part of, I used pictures that I pulled off of whatever, but the one picture where the Dr. Joel Benjamin is finding the crypt, it's actually a famous picture of when they found King Tut's tomb. So that was one of the first giveaways. Is I would be touring, and Doug might remember some of this, and you'd get that real smart person coming up and go, I was checking out your layout. Isn't that the picture of so and so opening King Tut's tomb? And I'd be like, yeah, you got me.
You got me.
You got me.
Like, hey, Doug, why don't you answer that question and not, I got to go over here. And then, yes. So.
But I do appreciate, of course, a lot of you guys have told me that, you love that album, and, I do appreciate it. And I appreciate that you guys, that's why we're in this crew, because we all kind of believe the same thing. Sometimes you don't have to always Jesus, literally. Sometimes creating that curiosity about Jesus is 100 times more effective, so like that song we just heard, Illustrate, it was non-topical. It was just a cool sounding song, but if you actually start getting curious about it and listening to the lyrics, you're like, oh, I think these dudes love God or something, because it's nice, clean, God glorifying lyrics. So I digress. Continue, Nomadic.
So I progress. But yeah, I mean, so I've always just been a fan of like real, raw, authentic music. And I mean, I did, I mean, I grew up listening to, SFC, like PID, Dynamic Twins, all those cats. Um, but I also listened to, I'm saying, Tribe, Nas, Wu, all them cats as well. And so it's like, when I was like in my teens and stuff, that's when I started really kind of gravitating towards Christ and things. And so I was definitely heavily into like theology raps, as I would put it. But as I got older, I started really wanting just like well-rounded music, kind of like what Illustrate talks about, like, some dad raps. Like, you don't wake up in the morning and preach a sermon to your kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, you make them some food, get them off to school, all that. So like, let's get some well-rounded real life. And it's like, that's what I liked about, like, with the Plague album, a lot of Jeremiah's stuff. It was just like, it is raw, authentic. It was real. You could hear the struggle. Like, you could hear him screaming and yelling on stuff, like, but when he did that, the take everything, on Water Restores, like stuff like that. So it was just this whole other thing where it was like, I felt like it really is kind of one of those albums, and a lot of like all the Shadow Locust stuff is very kind of like when you hear like Marza, LA Symphony, a lot of those cats where it's like, this is good quality music that is God glorifying, but anybody's going to gravitate towards it because there's real, regular, everyday stuff to it.
Yeah.
If that wasn't too long of an answer.
No, it's all good.
By the way, I love, you bring up songs like Blunted Edge and being emotional, at the end of it. Blunted Edge, a lot of people bring stuff, and I don't ever claim that I'm necessarily an originator, but one thing I loved bringing, and I thought that I felt like I brought it, to hip hop, was being emotional. Because back in from the beginning of hip hop through the 90s, at least, it was just, I just watched guys walking across. Yeah, it was all hard, and people just rapping their show, standing in one spot, with the mad face, and I get the bravado and the competition that's part of, the underpinnings of hip hop. But there was a part of me that was like, I want to dance like David, man. I want to make hip hop songs like David, who was a warrior, but also a poet, I want him to be both hard and bravado, but also, be able to share emotions. So my favorite thing, real quick, about this guy below me, Sam Marks, is I'll go write testimonial songs. You guys know, and like you're saying, Nomadic, I got some screamos and some crybaby stuff going in the back, But the first time I tried to get this dude to yell on a chorus, and I remember we're in my studio, and I remember I'm like, Sam, just hear me out and just give it a try. Because my theory is try everything and decide later. Record every idea and decide later where you don't like, So I was like, Sam, hear me out. I want you to do this chorus. It was for a song on his. What song was it? Do you remember?
Very Necessary.
Okay. And we it's the track that we were on together.
Together, yeah.
Telling you, I want you to just screamo this like chord, like yell it a little bit with a little bit. And he just turns around and looks at me. He's all, I can do that? I was like, yes, dude, you can do that. Just do it.
Well, Dirt, if you remember when you were doing a War to Restore and I was getting updates from you in New York when you were recording it, you're like, I did this thing. I don't know if it's going to work, but Jesse's going to leave it in. And it was Blunted Edge.
Yeah. And Blunted, so what I was starting to say is that you guys, probably have Blunted Edge maybe at the top of a favorite Dirt song list, but Blunted Edge, I had to fight so much for the idea of just being raw and admitting that I got failures and admitting that I'm trying to bring those failures to God. And, I would have people tell me, like, you can't, this is Christian hip hop, and you gotta, like, it's gotta be like, sugar coated, and you can't admit stuff like that. And but my mind was always like, why not? Why can't we talk about what's really going on? And again, that's why I love this crew, man. Shadow the Locust smashes, because we're all capable of making those non-topical songs. But if you start, so the one song that is not we're not going to hear tonight because we're not going to play the whole freaking album, guys. You got to go buy it when it comes
That's
out
right.
in a month.
Yeah.
Golly. But
Come
the one song that Nomadic's pretty much, I think you're our newest member, you and Mateo Shazak. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. It's a Hebrew word, and he told me what it means.
Kazakh.
But anyway, is it? Yeah, it's with a K. But Nomadic is on a song called Quiet Me, and it's a real dope song. It's a topical song. It's a God glorifying song about, having that rough point in your life, but taking it, asking God to quiet you and quiet your situation and give you direction. And Nomadic comes in at the end of that song and kind of plays the guru coming off the mountain to light incense and say, hey, return to the Lord type of attitude. And he smashes out on that song. So get the album. It's coming out in about a month.
I gotta tap out, guys. I gotta go scoop up my kids.
Love you, dude.
So love you guys.
All right,
Love you,
brother.
brother.
Man.
Appreciate you.
Illustrate out.
Peace.
So, Sam, we're going to come to you.
Okay.
One, don't tell Dirt. So, close your ears, Dirt.
I'll go get some coffee.
Earmuffs.
I've been listening to your
Yeah,
album
earmuffs.
like almost nonstop every day to go to work.
Oh, praise God, man.
I mean,
why would I be upset at that, dude? That
Shut
album is so cool, bro.
one,
No, he didn't.
the production on that album, top notch. Yeah.
Had to do it.
But the song that hits me is the song you do with your sister.
Mm.
And I think about that because like my role in life, I'm a juvenile probation officer, right? And so I have those kind of kids that have either the families are twisted around and dad lives here, mom lives here, dad's in jail, mom's in jail. And that song just makes me think about it. But the emotion in that song just gets me praying, gets me worshiping in an odd way that not too many songs do. So for me, I just want to say thank you for allowing Jeremiah and you to do that album together, because that I probably would never have heard of it if it didn't come from the Shadow. Nothing against you, man.
No, yeah,
from
totally.
the Shadow Locust crew.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people when they go, I put this basically the solo album, Residue Rejuvie, right, with my sister, Escape Artist, I think.
Yeah.
And man, that's actually the first time I heard somebody say that was their favorite. But just real quick, that song is basically talking about the mixture of just a kooky, cartoony childhood with your sibling, but in the background there's just turmoil going on. You know what I mean? Like sad scene, that's me, so that's my little sister, man. That's my first best friend, Priscilla. Shout out, Muffin, the M, La M, man.
That's our female Femi Fatale
Yep.
of Shadow the Locust.
She's literally been in every single crew that I've been in. Every
Wow.
single, I've been in about 3 crews, more than that, but she's been in Land of Weirdos, Soapbox Poets, and Shadow of the Locust. So yeah.
And Shadow of the Locust is not like trying to keep the women out. We want them, but you have to be as dope as him is, dude. I mean, or
Boy.
you gotta kick rocks.
Dude, that girl is so talented, man. I wish she was here on the interview. She's one of those that's just like, she's dedicated to her family, man. Like,
I was gonna say she can't be here because she's literally birthing a locust plague by herself. She's got so many kids,
not, bro. Kid you
She's
not.
got so many kids, and they're all Shadow of the Locust by association. So
There are little locust larvae. So yeah.
Puts food on the table and it's gone.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
man. Yeah, remember Dirt? Do you remember how you were like coaxing her to like remember we went to go do a show together and she showed up and you were like, hey, we need you in the crew. She was like, no.
What would I always tell her? Hip hop needs that good female voice that loves God. We need female MCs just as much as we need male MCs, but we need MCs that glorify God. And we all know that this game is a lot of male. You know, we need them
Male
females, bro.
dominated. You need that female balance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
man.
mean, somebody in the chat brought up the girl from New Breed, and then you had MCGG.
Oh yeah.
LC.
I mean, yeah, MCGG. Yes.
Can only count on your hand, maybe, as far as Christ-centered hip hop.
You know that was D-Boy's sister, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's because I grew up on D-Boy before he passed.
And there's
memory
you
eternal.
know, I think we know some personally, but I had a friend named Brielle, and she's gonna be on my next solo album. But look out for her because she's super dope.
Isn't she featured on this one, on this release?
She
With
is.
my
is.
sister?
She
Yeah.
is. Oh, Just a Girl.
Yeah.
Just a Girl.
Yep.
Bro.
Yep.
That's a dope track,
So
yo.
we have a song called Just a Girl, and it's M and
Brielle.
Brielle, and
Yep.
you're gonna hear, I mean, just two female MCs that are super dope.
And it's just them. It's no dudes on it. It's just them.
Well, you know, it's called Just a Girl, so we all try to get on the track, and I had to be like, guys, no. Unless you can verify that you're a eunuch for the Lord, no. Actually, do verify. I don't want to know.
Yeah, don't prove it.
Let's rein it in.
You guys mentioned Zane too. Can't forget Zane.
Oh, Zane
yeah,
Warren.
yeah, Zane.
Yeah,
Zane
Tunnel Rat.
One is classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Sam, 5 songs or album?
All right. Number 1, because I'm gonna name formative albums in my life, right? First one, Death Certificate by Ice Cube. Some crazy content on there, but man, that's the album that changed my life.
Yeah.
As far as wanting to be a hip hop head. Number 2, Fuji's The Score.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. Number 3, it's got to be this is something, a lot of this is non-hip hop. So number 3 is Gloria Estefan's Mi Tierra, where she actually brings in a salsa band, and it's a whole Spanish album. I must have played that out when I was 16. War to Restore, my gosh.
Yeah,
to me, guys, I know everybody's talking about Plague.
Right.
It outshines Plague by like 1,000% to me.
Yes.
For a few reasons. Dirt went extra cryptic and mysterious on this album. Yeah. And like it was just, and I love the fact, for some reason I was always wondering, how come this fool don't show his face? Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's always like something weird, like a picture, like an old timey picture, right?
Look at this face, nobody wants to see.
Well, there
this,
was
bro.
just, it was like the back of his head.
Oh
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's War to Restore, and then
do you know why, Sammy?
Why?
You just interject.
Yeah.
Remember, Doug, when we were doing the layout, and that was one of the things I you know, because Rescue was almost associated still, and we had Syntax coming in the mix, but that album was released through, you know, Doug's No Compromise label. But remember, I had people like, just have your face, but I was always like, that's the point. I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about God and the holiness of hip hop. So I remember they were literally like, you got to have something with you. And I took a picture of me from the back, and threw it in there, and I was like, there. That's
bro, you know how frustrating that was as a fan? Like, that was super frustrating as a fan.
But what did it create? It created curiosity.
Right.
I wasn't trying to hide that I was white or anything. I was just
and apparently frustration was
I didn't even know what you were, bro.
I was trying to create curious, like Ghostface Killer when he came out, bro.
Yes.
You could hose on his face.
Nah,
like, who is this dude? He's crazy.
You could have fooled me, Dirt. I thought it was like, at the end of the day, I was like, this is some alien just rapping, bro. Like just a Martian, you know what I mean? But to wrap up my 5, just want somebody gonna say something, or
no, I was gonna say Dirt just wanted to be able to like go through the grocery store without getting recognized. You know what I'm saying?
Bro,
yeah.
You know how hard it is to
like Mikey Jackson,
Brad Pitt, bro.
That's right.
This Brad Pitt lookalike face. It's just hard. I don't want people to see it. Let's wrap it up.
So I have to say, just another formative is Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City. I don't know why. The storytelling in that album is amazing. And last but not least, I am in my old age right now. I am on a huge Avett Brothers tip right now, and specifically the EP called Emotionalism. And the best way I can describe this type of music is hillbilly banjo music. It's the farthest thing from hip hop and I love it.
Hey, I'll take it over
So
what
good.
Jeremiah Dirt forced me to listen to on the whole second leg of our tour for Award to Restore. System of a Down. That's all he
System
would.
of a Down is the dopest hip hop ever, bro.
All I remember is being in the back of Joe and hearing System of a Down blaring. I'm trying to sleep, and all I see are these dreadlocks flying. All
I don't
over the
know.
place.
I mean, I've never fully figured it out, but if System of a Down is playing, I stay awake. So I would just.
So
I remember I had that
It was
record. I
functional.
got up to 20. It was 21 hours because I was trying to do a whole day of driving, and I got up to 21 just on System of a Down. But I saw a leprechaun chop down a tree, and I swerved the van, and everybody. I don't know if that was with you, Doug, but it might have been when I was with.
Are you sure it wasn't the otter that you hit when we were going through Virginia?
No, because that actually happened. There was no leprechaun, bro. I just saw in my mind's eye, and I remember swerving the van, and everybody wakes up. They're like, "Dude, you have to stop. You're done." I was like, "There was a leprechaun. He was laughing. He was swinging the axe. The tree fell." They were like, "No."
It's so like last year when we were driving to Audio Feed, he's like, "Let me drive, man," and I'm like, "Nope, I'm good."
Wow.
But
Sam could testify, man. I changed. I used to drive really crazy. I don't really do that anymore. But
yeah, then he started judging me for my driving. So,
bro, you want to go, dude, Sam? I don't want to say because there might be kids listening, but there's a part of my body that tenses up so tight when I'm driving with Sam, dude.
Oh, is
it's just, and I'm just sitting there white knuckling the edges.
Granted, I went to go pick him up for the show, and I'm like, let's go. He's like, where did I put my? I'm just like, would you hurry up?
Granted, this is every time I'm in the car with you. You're talking about one time, bro. This is every time I'm driving with you. Don't granted.
Oh
nothing.
man,
Get out of here.
Sam is a pastor, so therefore he's allowed to drive fast. He's got that special placard that allows him to drive fast and go pray with people at the hospital.
That's right.
I'll agree with you.
Amen, Doug.
Church ambassadors always take a lot of privilege, so I agree with you.
So Sam, how did you get into this crazy crew and get involved with this guy?
Yeah, so there was a crew nearby. I live in San Bernardino County, and just north of me is a little area called the High Desert, Hesperia. There's a crew that we knew of when I was with the Soapbox Poets. We rocked the show with the crew called His Fame, and they were really close with Dirt. Dirt had just moved to Hesperia. I was catching wind of him, and
Reveal and Nesto.
Broken. I'm actually in a crew with Nesto right now called Coram Dale. But yeah, man, I heard about them, and then I befriended Broken, and then through Broken, and my wife was pregnant in 2012 with my son, and she was on bed rest. So I'm there tending to her and everything. But I had connected with Broken, and Broken's like, "Hey, man, we're gonna go shoot a video in San Diego. It's with Dirt, and it's the video for the song, and that video never got released. They got lost somewhere, but it was almost like God put that in place just for the experience of just meeting, one of my, for lack of a better word, icons, like in my life that I looked up to, and I was like, okay, I don't want to geek out and fanboy out too much, you know what I mean? So went with Broken, met up with Reveal, and we connected with. We went out to San Diego, met Dirt. And then we went out to the streets of Dago and met Seven Lock for the first time. And we were just walking around. Music is the medicine from Rebel Lion. And we were walking around San Diego. And then the video shoot took literally like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. But man, it was such a great time. We were walking around the malls out there, just talking with Dirt, man, super down to earth, and I remember asking him one time. Well, we went into a Starbucks together that day, and I was like, I gotta ask him, like, when is Shadow Locust gonna put out an album? And I told him that. Remember, I don't know if you remember that, Dirt, but I asked him.
So people understand, Shadow Locust was always weird, whereas like Wu-Tang did an album together and then branched off. We had this weird thing, remember, Doug, where people were members of Shadow Locust, but it was all solo albums. Right. It was more of a network in the beginning. It was like, come to locustfist.com and these are the dudes and they're doing this. And then you asked me, dude, when is Shadow Locust together going to make an album?
Right.
Hey, but the crazy thing is that, I mean, you either confirm or deny it, Dirt, but I think that was the first rumblings of like an album being done, because I kept going, man, when are we going to? Because here's my thing. I was like, your music and Shadow of the Locust have done so much. The Lord has used it so much to impact me. I'm like, why is it done? And then there was a lot of things going on with crew members and stuff like that, switching in, switching out. But that it is what it is. But when he said that, that night, I must have stayed with him till like past midnight, hanging out with him after that video shoot.
Is that when you hung out with me in the trailer?
The park. No. The park, right? We went to the
with
park
your wife,
after.
right?
Yes. No. That's a whole nother time. So the thing is that like we went to, that was the first day I met you, and then we went to the park, and I remember the park was shut down. It was a public park. Lights were all out. You had one of those ghetto gazebos out there, and Dirt just decides to start doing a Bible study with everybody, right? In the middle of like 1 o'clock in the morning, busts out the Bible and he starts doing a Bible study. And I'm just like, man, this is amazing. Like, this is dope. And then I told him, I go, let me get your number. And he goes, well, I don't really give up my number. But then, right? And I was like, no. He goes, just let me just get it. I connected with him. He was up in Hesperia in his little trailer where he recorded Stolen Tokens, right?
Yeah, the videos. Yeah. If you guys look up Stolen Tokens on my Jeremiah Dirt channel, I was living in that. People always go, oh, that's cool how you set that trailer up. I was like, that was my house. And all I did was wake up and start filming myself rapping the video.
So I went up there and met with him, and we literally spent a whole Saturday, 6 or 7 hours inside that trailer, chopping it up, bonding,
that's what I remember. Yeah.
And then I showed him some of my Soapbox Poets music, showed him some of my solo stuff, and he was like, and I kind of threw it out there. I shot my shot. I was like, hey man, you guys taking any more members? He's like, I don't know, man. But then mostly, dude, I found like a kindred spirit in this guy. He's one of my best friends, you know what I mean? And I love him to death. And I miss him because he's not in California anymore. But man, ever since then, met with my wife. Like, we went walking in San Diego, me and my wife, and because she was trying to give birth, and my son wasn't trying to come out yet. So we went out to San Diego. He met my wife. Son was born.
Which that's the first time I remember, like, because I, a lot in my life, and I get mixed up with first times, but that was what I remember first. I remember the Music is the Medicine video shoot, but I just remember hanging out with you and your wife and the night in my trailer, because we got deep, man. And that was actually one of the first times where I was like, Doug can verify, I'm a creative genius. I'm not good at business. I don't really have that mathematical or business mind. But you want to, take a track that you're going to throw away and let me sequence it. I'll make it dope, But when you started suggesting Shadow Locust doing an album together, under a Shadow Locust artist name, my thinking, even from the beginning, before you officially joined up, was you're the man to organize it.
Yeah.
It's your idea. Do it. Let's go.
Yeah.
And that's what Sammy brought Doug when he came to the Shadow Locust crew, is he was basically like, there I am in my house.
Classic.
But Sammy brought that ability to organize everybody, and actually start making these albums.
Yeah.
To me, that's I've often wondered that too. Like, how long was it going to be before Shadow of the Locust actually did a full album? Because you had all these other guys doing stuff, Noise, and there wasn't one central album that tied it all together. And so that's why I think people were confused over the years.
Yeah.
And now that you did the A Mighty Army Cometh Volume 1, it just kind of tied it in. So now with 2 and 3 coming out in the horizon.
Well, so what we did is when Sam started organizing this stuff, we started. We remember, Sam. We theorized A Mighty Army Cometh. We'll do it like a encyclopedia where the song tracks are just in order. And I started pumping out beats, and people were submitting beats, and we started making all these songs, and then we started titling them, and they ended up being, for each of the 3 installments. And so we had literally, there's 20 to 25 songs on each album, so that's 75 possibly plus songs in all. We have them all laid out, but we all, all of us here started going, dude, this is crazy.
Yeah.
We can't work on 75 songs at once. So the 3rd album is already a 4th done. And when we finished the first one, the 2nd one was already half done, but we had to start just going in order.
I just felt the Shadow Locust legacy, man. Like with everything, it's considered on Syntax Records as one of the most trailblazing albums that they put out. You know what I'm saying? Plague and everything that Dirt put out. You know what I mean? I think that Heavy Manners needs to be in that conversation as well, because Red Handed is on one of my favorite songs on that album.
Yeah, me too.
And Devil's Heaven is one of my favorite songs too. But yeah, man, I was like, man, what the heck? Like, I was like, why? What's going on? Like, we need to put something out. And this was before I was a member, but that day that in San Diego when I was with my wife, I made it a point where I was like, I'm not gonna be like, can I get in the crew? Can I get it? That was lame to me, dude. I was just like, nah. I found a kindred spirit in Dirt, man. I want to befriend him, and if anything, if he wants to continue doing music, I want to do music with him, man, and just be his friend. You know what I mean? I wanted to glean off of him, and I wanted to record with him just to see how he would help me do like an album, a solo album. And in meeting with him, like in the last, I've known him. We've been friends over 10 years now. And just connecting with him every Friday, we would go over with my wife and my kid, and literally every week we would go up 20 minutes from where I was staying up the hill to have Bible study at his house, and this is a philosophy that I always loved. And this is the one thing that we connected with, was that Dirt shared the same idea with me, that ministry doesn't happen just for the sake of ministry.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't happen like this robotic thing. No, ministry is birthed from the community of believers coming together first, enjoying the grace of God that's been bestowed upon us. And then because of that, the overflow of that love, that's my daughter right there. The overflow of that love, is what is being created in the music. You know what I mean? And that is something, and you want to talk about curiosity, that was something that the Holy Spirit just flowed naturally, because we got together, we fellowshipped, we got into the Word of God. You know what I mean? And yeah, man, it was one of the greatest times I've had in the last 10 years, just hanging out with Dirt. And the funny thing is that this year I've kind of taken like a little slowdown, because I've been doing a lot of ministry. I changed jobs, I changed churches. So like, there's Lord willing, there's going to be a possibility where I'm going to be ordained there. But man, the last 10 years, man, the last 10 years have just been like, you hear the music on these albums, on the Shadow Locust album, and I'm on a lot of them, right? I'm on a lot of them. And it's the only reason I'm on a lot of them is because every week I would go hang out with Dirt.
In proximity.
So literally, this is what it was: get there, hang out, eat. Hold on, mama, baby. Every week we would go hang out, right? And then we would have Bible study. And then everybody would stay in the living room, and Dirt would be like, "We're going to the studio." And then me and Dirt would just sit in the studio and just be silent and just listen to beats. I would just sit there silently in his beat up recliner, and he'd be on his laptop he would just be playing beats, and I'll be like, bro, I like that one. Can I have that one? And he would always mess with me, be like, no, you can't be on that beat because that doesn't sound like it's for you. It says you need a playful beat, and he'd always make me angry, bro. You know what I mean? So I was just like, what do you mean?
It was to get him pumped sometimes.
I know, and now I
sometimes
know
it was
that.
because I'm not giving him the dope beat, but sometimes it was.
He was giving me these
pumped
like whimsical, like goofy beats, and I'm like, bro, yeah, I'm a goofy dude, but I can get down too. Come on, let's go. So yeah, he gave me those beats, and a lot of the features, or a lot of the spots on the albums that I have were literally verses that I wrote and recorded 6 years ago. And
Wow.
Dirt just kept them. He just kept them in his file. He just kept them in his laptop.
Put the songs out. You know, on this album, Sammy is Grinding Gears, which is when you guys hear Grinding Gears on this album, it was the first time we recorded. We were I was having that house party, remember? There was like a housewarming thing, and we were just all freestyling in the booth in my studio. And so when you hear Sam on this song Grinding Gears, it's literally the first time I recorded Sam, and he was just messing around. And in that track, you literally mess up at one point. Not mess up, but your brain kind of switched, and you're like, nah, I'm not going to freestyle that. And you started rapping this other thing, and I keep it in the track because it just sounded so dope.
Sounds dope.
Yeah,
Dirt did a lot of things that made me angry creatively, and then what ended up happening is that I ended up coming around. And he would push the envelope, of creativity to the point where it would make you feel uncomfortable. It would make you feel like no, like yelling, and like, I never did that on an album. I never did that on the track. You know what I mean? And yeah, he would do those things. And very recently, I'll tell you a story. Really recently, my love.
Very, bro, do the Heimlich, man. Get him.
I know.
He said do the Heimlich.
They do these like weird troll noises, and yeah. Okay, guys. Okay. But anyway, recently on my album, Dirt's like, I like that take, but can you rap it like a robot? And I'm like,
oh, that track is sick, bro.
And I go, what? And he goes, yeah. And I go, bro, we're not gonna use that take. We're not gonna use it. And he goes, no. And he tricked me, dude. He tricked me. He goes, just rap it like a robot, and I want to keep it in my own personal file.
Yep.
For me. It's for me. And I go, okay, I'll do it. And I'm over here like, rap on Mac and up like that down, right? And he goes, bro, I'm leaving it in there. And I was like so angry. I was just like,
no, bro. You left, and I mixed it down. And I mixed down a version of you doing it the stupid way you want it. And then I mixed down the robot one. And I was like, and you came back, and I was like, and you were like, why'd you keep it like that? I was like, look, just listen to them both. Play it for some friends, and if enough people say they like it, and you took it out, bro, and everybody was like, this is hot, bro.
Literally everybody was like, dude, that is ill. Leave that. And I'm just like, and I was mad, number one, because I was like, I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And number two, I was mad because everybody was agreeing with Dirt, and he was right the whole time.
Don't you hate when that happens?
I hate when that happens. You know what
I mean? Look, I've told all of you guys before, I hate being right so much, man. I wish I was more wrong, but I just...
In the morning,
it's a gift. But listen, before we talk with Kodak, I want to say that the beautiful thing about Shadow Locust, for whether you're a fan of the music or not, or you're going to become one, I'm surrounded by people like Sammy was saying that, everybody, Kodak, Sam, Illustrate, it's these people that were very respectful. You've watched, Doug, throughout the decades, Shadow Locust as a crew go up and down with its, membership. And Sam, every time somebody, and Kodak, I know kind of on the outside looking in, but Sam, I think because some of these people were, real close to us, but it was people that didn't adhere kind of to that family fellowship first. Nomadic, who was on Kodak, definitely, Sam. These guys have encouraged me man to man, face to face, not as Dirt, not as
Right.
the dude on the pedestal and Father Locust. They just come and encourage me. Kodak, I told you, man, when I was going through all this stuff in the last couple of years, you're one of the dudes that just really solidly encouraged me.
Right.
Sam, you've so many times have encouraged the heck out of me. I'm just bringing up people that are here, nomadic, and so that's what makes this
Amen.
crew dope is that we fellowship with each other and then go, oh, let's just make some songs too,
Right.
Well, I mean, I think that, like our history, Dirt,
Yeah.
it kind of has revolved around that as well. I mean, I can remember.
I'm not
that
excluding you, Doug. I lived with
No.
you and you had to put up with my quirky butt and you're still around and you just recently got done telling me how much, you love me and you consider me fam. But I'm just saying that's what I love about Shadow the Locust is this is really a family. And like Sam Ox was saying earlier, focus on that first. I had an old friend. He was, you guys know, I've talked about him to crew before, Uncle Merle, and he was the rapper of a 2-man crew, and then the DJ was the one who, after he had passed, I inherited a bunch of his records. And this turntable that's sitting right here is we used to go and minister to kids with this turntable that still works, bro. Technic 1200.
Technique 1200s never die.
Yeah, but
So
he wrote something on a piece of paper, my Uncle Merle, one time, and he told me to put it in my wallet and forget about it, and when the time is right, I'll come across it again. It was probably a good year or two later that I I had buried it in my wallet, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly. This was a while ago, but all it basically said is focus, something to the effect of focus on your family as your first ministry. And like Sam was saying, everything else overflows off of that. That was one of the best advice I can have. And now I'm in the Shadow Locust crew, and that's what we do. So every music and song and album you guys hear from Shadow Locust stems from a bunch of us that have that first. We love God. We focus on ministering to each other, and the music just kind of comes out from it.
That's awesome. So
Kodak.
So we're going to talk to Kodak. Kodak, give me the rundown. Top 5.
Top 5. Well, I'm so old now that I probably can't remember the albums. So my top 5, the New Breed album with Mach and his sister, that one, that CD I still have. I play to this day in, day out. Love it to death. Anything from the Remnant Militia, because I live on the East Coast in Georgia. So if it's Marshall or if it's anything going on in Florida, with Remnant Militia when they were here in Atlanta, those guys, love them all.
Hey, Kodak.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. I only have 3 cassette tapes. Look at.
Yes.
Remnant Militia's first
man.
EP, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys all got jealous right there. Where's DJ Chris?
$150.
I tried to steal the CD that Chris had when I went to his house one time. Like, that thing was behind a safe.
Wow.
And he was not giving that puppy up at all.
Oh, no. Who would?
So,
right?
Kodak, Remnant was on Good Medicine, and that's why Good Medicine got really. I mean, it's a freaking 9-minute long song, and it's people's favorite.
Yes,
it shouldn't be just because it's 9 minutes long.
Yep.
And then later, Wu-Tang tries to copy the idea by doing Triumph, but whatever.
It was too late.
Shadow Locust did it first.
So, Kodak, give me the rundown.
Hey, Good Medicine for me was the intro to KJ5 too.
Yeah.
Yes, KJ. Yeah, see
Sons of Intellect.
Right, Sons of Intellect. So I was a fan
Child.
of. I was a fan of Sons of Intellect before it was KJ5 too, by himself. And of course, anything with Mars Ill or LPG specifically.
As usual, God always has these pockets, right? It wasn't like Dirt came up with underground Christian hip hop. It was really all over.
Yeah.
Remnant was in Florida, Sons of Intellect. Why am I forgetting where they were from? You guys remember?
Florida.
But Florida too.
Yep.
Florida.
But it was pockets, you know.
And
It was all
Atlanta.
pockets everywhere.
Yep.
So
Hot Atlanta.
Yeah.
you bouncing,
Doug, you-
Sam?
Yeah, I got the babies, got to put them to bed. But hey, man, I love you guys.
Look out for, you know, Sam's album, you know, under Samuel Oxymoron, guys. Look out for why do I always say it wrong?
Residue Rejuvie.
Resident Rejuvie.
I literally made the album with you, and I always for tongue tried. But also Sam is all over, you know, this Mighty Army Cometh album. So Shadow Locust is an artist name. Samuel Oxymoron is an artist name. Just look out for that stuff.
Hey, real quick. You know, it was one of the most craziest things that happened to me that has to do with Shadow Locust album.
What's that?
About 3 years after getting War to Restore, I'm still playing it out, the CD. I dropped the jewel case on the floor. And when, I don't know if any of you guys know this, but I dropped the jewel case on the floor and it busted open. And when I went to go down to get it, I opened it up and I was like, "What in the world is this?"
All the stuff on the inside.
Dirt, yes, dirt.
Yes, yeah, I picked up on that one.
Dude, he hid a message on the inside.
It's not a message. It's a decoder.
It was a decoder. My bad.
When you read the story and the main character finds these old tablets and he doesn't know how to read them, and that decoder is really the indicator that you're reading a fictional story. And if you use that decoder, it you know, A is this symbol and B, and you can start looking through my layout and read the message.
Message.
Yeah.
Not forget that. I thought I was Willy Wonka, and I thought I found the golden ticket.
You thought you thought you were going to get Warwick into Shadow Locust Kingdom right away.
Yeah, I thought I was the only one that got this. This was a special. This is dirt meant for me to get this out.
I remember when we were doing the layout and we were we were getting stuff done with syntax, and I'm fighting with Tim because he's like, "I'm not putting that in there, man. No one's gonna read that. No one's gonna do that. Blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "You have to keep it because if you don't, one, I'm gonna have dirt whining on me and yelling and screaming that it took 18 years to put this thing together." And
here we go. Here we go.
So I hid it under the jewel case. I won't break it.
I found mine by breaking
under the jewel where the CD
Out of
was.
control.
If you use this, you can decode, and you can still find this album like on Amazon and eBay. But if you look in the layout, there's all these, you know, Sam's talking about all this weird writing, and if you use that decoder, it's basically, if I remember correctly, just cool Bible verses and
not fool.
Oh,
I thought I was in the Goonies. And I found that special coin that they can find One Eye Willie. I was like,
oh man, no,
I was like, my heart jumped when I saw that. Anyway, all that to say, I love you guys. Honored to be doing the Lord's work through just somebody who was like I looked up to tremendously, as now is one of my best friends. I love you to death. I love you. I love all the Shadow Locusts. Doug, thank you for having me on, man. I got to put the babies to bed. I love you guys.
Love you all, man.
Love on those kids, man. Love on those kids.
Most def. Thank you, brother.
Loving on him. He's I love Gigi on you on your little head. Get out of here, little
peace.
Head.
Peace.
See you later, man. But Kodak, so how did you get involved with Shadow Locust?
So I think I got involved with Shadow Locust on accident. It was never a plan. I was a part of some other crews. I forgot what we're called. I think it was Tsunami Insurrection back in the day, back when MP3.com first got started and people were finally starting to put their music online. And I think we're like one of the top rated Christian hip hop artists on that website before everybody started flooding in and doing stuff. But I had known about Dirt for a minute. I had known about Shadow the Locust. I was still trying to pick up on the concept of it, and I kind of stumbled upon it. And I think, Dirt, did you ask me to join? I don't remember ever asking to join.
I kind of remember you had association with Illustrate.
Yes, because
and so Kodak makes
Illustrate,
beats.
Broken.
You know, Kodak makes beats too.
Reveal.
Kodak has a very unique, you know, MC style that I love. And then I'm hearing like these beats he's making too, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this dude is freaking double dope. So Kodak produces and are you're on this album as a producer too?
Yep.
I think you're on all three of them.
I'm probably on all three.
With a few beats. So I think that if I remember correctly, I started hitting you up just because I was like, man, you're really dope with these beats. And I think in the beginning I was just trying to get like, help me learn how to use, because you know equipment well, and you know how, you know, and I have this MPC that I got this MPC that I only know how to turn on to this day. Why did I buy this thing? So I would hit up Kodak and be like, how do you use this thing, bro? And so we just started talking a lot, and I just remember just really loving your attitude, you know, because you really exemplified also that attitude of like humility and not treating other people with, you know, you know, put them on pedestals. And you're a very wise person. And I just really love that. And I think you're right. I just straight up asked you at one point, hey, we don't have no African Americans in Shadow Locust. Where are you?
Because all my cousins, we all rap, and we were all a part of our own Christian hip hop crew. But we've all grown up in ministry in Florida and stuff, traveling around and doing rap stuff. But the problem was, like, when Dirt asked me, I was kind of nervous because I was hitting up my cousin Disciple X, who's on the
Disciple X on this album, yeah.
Right. He's also on Twitch as well, doing like random freestyles. Like, he's crazy. So I remember telling my cousin this Disciple X, I call him Jeff, and Jeff's like, Dirt asked you? I'm like, yeah, dude, and I don't know, man. I don't want to mess it up the friendship, you know. But you know, he's like, man, you're okay, Kodak. Just go ahead and do it.
Well, you know how I feel about Disciple X. So, you know, if he's gonna watch this or watching it now, you know, invitation open. Let's go.
Come on.
The song is called "Honest Promise." Kodak, and it's just you and him.
I think.
That's one of the ones you made. The beat you made too. Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the things I love about Kodak too, I don't want to interject too much, but I love Kodak. I love the way he works, man. He's full package. So like, you know, I work with people sometimes that they can record their lyrics and send it, and that's about it. Kodak will just be like, here's the beat, here's my verse. I'm also gonna get my cousin on it. So here's the done song. I'm just like, yes. I don't have to like
do anything.
I don't have to do all this because you know Kodak. I'm like you. I get in that studio and I spend 10 hours mixing a song down, but you just give me the song and I'm like, yes.
It's got to slap this together. Throw a little sample on the outside.
I love Kodak. And then I look at the rest of the crew like,
no, he didn't.
Can more of you guys be like Kodak over here? What's up? Let's go.
And they're calling Kodak going, hey, I'm going to send you the beat. I'm going to send you my vocals. Just put it together and then send it to Dirt like I actually did it.
Right.
Wow. Well, Kodak is like me too, where he's good at fixing problems. You know, how many times have we sat there behind the scenes and just been like, and Kodak will blow my mind because I'm kind of just a self-learned Pro Tools, you know. That's how I make my beats. I do what these samplers do, but just...
But you do the manual way.
Manual, you know.
The manual way,
and I'll be talking with Kodak like, I don't know why this beat is doing this or that. Kodak will be like, well, if you take the 43rd parallel and divide it by and I'm just like, wow, this guy is freaking genius, bro. All right, Kodak, sorry.
Yeah, so... but speaking to that also, I think did we recover one of your projects because your hard drive crashed?
Well, the whole drive that was my whole life. It had pictures from my mom after she died that were nowhere else, and I don't know how much you can talk about it, but Kodak, his work allows him to know how to take a backup drive that don't work and go, oh yeah, here it is.
Yeah, it took me But I think it took me a week of scanning his drive to recover all the data. I do IT stuff, and it took me a whole week. And I was like, sending him pictures every day. I'm 10% done. Next day, I'm 25% done.
I was like, no way. A whole week, and Kodak was like fixing my failed hard drive. So part of that drive was Shadow Locust albums and stuff that we hadn't finished yet. So I mean, you literally like.
Bro, I hope you have
saved it all.
You have all this backed up on like.
Oh yeah, I mean now I learned from that experience. Remember Kodak? I was like, I'm just gonna back it up on 5. I got 5 drives and.
It's got them placed in different parts of the world.
Me and Kodak are very similar in the sense that we're like Jesus. We save.
Right. That's right.
we save a lot. I remember one time I was talking to you, Kodak, and you were like, I'm going through this folder I have from 20 years ago with all these drum kits, and and I was like, oh, I love this dude. He's just like me. 20 years ago, and you've saved this folder for 20 years. So yeah, and Kodak knows a lot, of the history of the Christian hip hop, like in his area too.
So tell me, Kodak, then, why hasn't this style? I don't want to say style. I just want to say the gritty, hardcore style, underground hip hop. Why has it not ever grabbed on? Why was T-Bone the top versus?
I don't know. I have no idea, and that's what kind of drew me to Dirt as well. Though I don't know what happened, but it seemed as if there was like a divide and split in Christian hip hop, where there were the ones that were like really focused. They love God. It was understood, but they elevated and were focused more on the how do I make this art part better, right? And that's where I kind of split. Where I was like, I went to the art part. I kind of left the Jesus part and just went to the art part and focused on that one, and then kind of developed that. But I don't know why it split. I never could understand that, and it seemed like the more commercial it got, the more it separated. I don't know.
No dissing KJ, no dissing John Rubin, no dissing anybody.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But you had one of the best rappers, whatever, Manchild. You have Plato, Crumb, Doug, whatever you want to call them. You have Dirt. You have all these guys that, if given the 1% of an ounce chance in the mainstream market, they could have blown up.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you this. Manchild is so dope. Like I would have my background outside DJing and MCing was I was heavily involved in the b-boy culture within Florida and Georgia. Manchild would go and do like these b-boy shows. We had these big b-boy events. I think it was called Break Atlanta, and he would go in there and do like freestyle and just people throwing words. He'd be rapping and freestyling, but he would hold it down and murk everybody. Like and what I can say is this: I give props to Grits. Reason why I give props to Grits is whenever they would come to my town in Augusta, Georgia, I would make sure I gather up all my local b-boys who are my friends, right, and who we were teaching them how to break and this, that, and the other, and I would make sure they would go to the show for Grits and then b-boy with and break with Grits. Every show when they would come through, I would out eat and all of them. And every time I came through, Grits would always greet us, give dap us up, give us hugs. And most of my friends that were like b-boys, most of them were unsaved, but they already knew Kodak gonna take us to this show. If it's gonna be a show, if Kodak takes us, it's legit. And they would go. Some of them got saved, but they love all my homeboys. They all love Grits, and most of them were unsaved.
Well,
to this day.
I played a lot with Grits, and I'm also I'm wondering if they were touring down by you, Dynamic Twins, or
I love Dynamic Twins.
Yeah, Dynamic Twins, because every time
I grew up on
with
Dynamic
Grits,
Twins.
it was Dynamic Twins there too.
Well,
nice.
I know. I mean, Dirt has, back in our time touring and stuff, he played with Grits a few times, and
wow.
And I worked with them very closely for a while after Factors of the Seven came out, and like just those guys alone, they should have been way bigger than Goatee ever allowed them to be. And and that was the thing that surprised me about, like, when I first heard Dirt, and then getting to know them, and then the whole Shadow of the Locust thing, where you have a crew but no one's doing it. It was just him at the time. He had
solo running it.
Yep. People. I mean, back in the day, people were promised things by certain people, and stuff just never came to fruition. But it's awesome, like I said in the beginning of the show, to see that you guys have now kept this going.
Yeah.
And with the new album coming out with getting to know you guys, because I don't know a lot of you guys. Like, I know a handful of some of the original cats, but knowing where the heart is only makes it that much better to support a project such as this, because music today, you can't tell who's what, and down is down or down is up.
Right.
I mean, you got videos where rappers are, having sex with Satan.
Come on.
I mean, come on, man.
That's
like,
the time we're in.
It's wild, man. So, Kodak, myself, the rest of the crew, we're trying to offer, again, like I said, we're trying to offer a humility to hip hop. And we're trying to offer a holiness. Hip hop is the one, people that love other music. I'm not clowning other music. All these records behind me, only that top little section this big is hip hop. I listen to everything because it makes my hip hop better. But hip hop is the one music, in my opinion, of all my music listening, and I've listened to a lot, that has the most potential to be prophetic, because it was birthed off of words. You go to rock and you come up with a sentence of words, and that's your song. You go to reggae, same thing. You go to some music and there's no words at all. Hip hop was birthed off of MCs and DJ, DJs with the music, but MCs getting on the mic. An MC in hip hop can't repeat words like they do in rock, or they'll be whack. You got to have new words, fresh words, verses, choruses,
format. Yes, right.
Now, what is Jesus called? The Word of God, or the Bible, the Word of God, and Jesus is the Word made flesh. It's like, as hip hop, we're, as MCs and DJs and B-boys, we're called so much towards that gospel. That's why I trip out, guys, that there isn't more of this kind of hip hop, that I watch a dude simulating sex with the devil, and that's number one in hip hop. It's like, come on, man. God made this music like he made every music to glorify him. But the charge is on us. And that's why Kodak, right? I mean, the charge is on us, but if you don't want to join God's army, the shadow, you're going to see the shadow of the locust, meaning the shadow is predicting the coming of God's wrath. That's what the name means, shadow of the locust. It means the sun, or God's light, is behind this plague. And you still, when you see that shadow creeping, you still have the opportunity to repent and join the blessings, and join the warriors, and join the gospel, whatever, you want to put on it, or don't. But don't get mad when the plague goes through and you're left with nothing. Right. Because that's what God has to do with knuckleheads, is leave you with nothing. All these people making satanic Nike shoes, you're going to have to answer to that stuff someday. All you young ladies that are in your 40s but trying to act like you're, 15 again and living that crazy hip hop, secular style, you're going to have to answer to it someday. All the gangsters, all the whatever, you're into that's not of God, you're going to have to answer to it. And that's what we want to bring, with Shadow Locust, that it's coming, here's the warning. But if not, then you get a couple holy pimp slaps then, I guess. But I sent a track. I want to, keep talking with you, Kodak, but I sent that track. I sent it to Chris. I want to play that instead of the whatever we had lined up, the one with you and Disciple X. So,
the Honest Promise.
Yeah, if DJ Chris back there can check his email, and when we're ready, I want to play that instead.
Honest is not a current topic, but I'm topic like
we'll play it now.
Yeah, but without a saddle on it, taking life issues.
This is Kodak.
Same name, Christ the prophet, but twist the whole picture like it had Muhammad on it. The honesty is straight blunt, like blaming Satan for everything except for when their name is on it. Mother pushing the son for my father, speeding supersonic gals. I do get honest. I got nerve to go to God, disrespected altar on it. Flames on the road, and it's purging my bad quicker. These balls that I'm hopping to ain't fitting that. Prime next, I hope the iron hit you. Make that vision divine clearer. Did the target miss you? So will it back against Iron Riddler? Waiting for the master, open their eyes. Check the how Hitler. Modern day.
I love Kodak's flow, man.
direct. Urinate on the truth like a double-minded fetish. Fit a shot like it's Thomas edit. Sun's in the direction where the shrine's headed, or where your rhyme is headed. Let's face it, can't take it. Go ahead and prime the unleaded, then edit.
Kodak is dope because he's got these crazy rap flows. Then you start listening, you're like, this dude's talking all gospel, and you know, but you don't catch it at first because he's got such a unique flow, you know. This is Kodak's cousin, Disciple X, coming up.
A king with no crown, a wife with no gown, a God given his voice, but no one makes a sound. I'll be honest. I'll be honest.
Now can I be honest? When I rhyme, I'm on it. The design is flawless. With a mic, I harness. Your demise incarnate. Gonna find a wallet. I fight and spar with. Gonna light and spark it until I'm acknowledged. With a silent homage. Gonna die with honor. And if I get slaughtered, gonna like the product. I'm a rhyme artist. And I rise and conquer. And divide your armor like a knife of trauma as you ride the carnage. Harmless, but I find
Oh, yells right there.
I like to watch it in a cloud of smog. It's a big pile of nonsense. But you try to stop it, you could die unconscious. Your mind is godless when you lie regardless. And deny the God hit, then you try to profit, but your life is stopping. You don't like the options, but you're microscopic. When you fight with God, it end up in a microcosm of a type of Sodom. Your life is bottom. Maybe you could die for
Oh, man.
problems. It's my persona. I don't like the
Jeff.
It's what I accomplish. To grind and lob it. The type of comment you try to dodge it. You die regardless. Probably gonna wind up in a type of coffin.
Kodak comes in like a sage, you know, like, you know, you know, he's got these rhyme flows, and you're like, oh, this is dope. And then Disciple X comes in and he's like, bang. He's like,
bang.
Machete. That's how
Hey, I just realized, Kodak, you and him just did good cop, bad cop, bro.
Yes.
You came in like, hey, with this nice flow, and everybody's like, oh, I like this track. It's got a nice sound. And, oh, I love Kodak. He's great. And then all of a sudden your cousin comes in like,
It's like a family feud, dude. Like when we made this track, I told Durs, I'm trying to get my cousin on the track. I'm trying to get it. So behind the scenes, I finished my verse and the hook, sit over Disciple X, and I know my cousin, he's gonna sit on the track until he gets the flow that to him it's flawless. Like there's nothing that lacks in the flow, right? So he'll sit and write for like a day, re-listen to it, no, scratch it, it didn't match Kodak, I need to redo it again, and he'll redo the verse over and over and over and over. Then he'll send a polished one back to me, and I'm like, I'm not redoing nothing, I'm saying this is dirt.
Well, and you can tell because I mean both of you, but in different ways, just ride you ride the rhyme parameters, you know.
Yes.
To me, there's three parts of an MC. I've talked to you about this, Doug. You know, there's the sound of your voice. Can't really change that. I mean, you can, like, you know, well, yeah. I'm not going to say be real because that sounded like I'm insulting him, but he does it. He does it awesome. But you can change a little bit your tone and your pitch, but you're born with your voice. You can't really change that without auto tunes. Then there's the words that you actually say. So I could sit there and, you know, just say 3 words, or I could, you know, add 4 or 5. What are you actually saying? And then there's your rhyme parameter, which is your style. You know, how are you saying those words? And you and Disciple X both ride those pockets of the beat. You know, if you listen to Kodak, you heard it, Doug, where it's like Kodak will be like slow. It's like, he reminds me of a DJ, a real like DJ Cuber, you know, that will scratch fast, and then go slow, and then go, you know, and then Disciple X kind of does the same thing, but in a totally different rhyme pattern. And then in that song specifically, he's just angry too.
You stick with it, yes,
like a holy righteous anger, but he crescendos. You know, we're in that song where Kodak is like doing this like flow, you know, like an ebb and a flow. Disciples like doing this crescendo. But again, guys, listen to the lyrics, man. Get this album. That one's called Honest Promise, and listen to the lyrics. Again, hearing that one, Kodak, just some of the lyrics you were saying, some of the stuff that your cousin is saying is just so dope and glorifying to God. You know, this is the hip hop we need to support. So to answer your question, Doug, Kodak, I'm sure you'd agree. The reason why a lot of those underground crews don't make it is because y'all don't support it.
That's a fact.
If
That
you
is true.
support it, it'll make it. But the dude that's doing these videos, simulating having sex with, the devil, we ain't doing that. We're trying to glorify God. You know why we don't have a video for this album yet? Because it costs money, and we don't have the budget that these guys are given lots of money, and then their ideas like, I want to do a video where I'm having sex with Satan. Oh, they
We'll
only
pay
have
for
the
it.
money.
Yeah,
they only have the
They'll
money
pay for it.
because
You're like,
everybody's
like your
supporting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really, it's a two-way street. As an MC or a DJ or even a b-boy or even a graffiti artist, really one of those things, if there's no crowd to watch,
right?
If nobody's listening to me rap, am I really an MC? I don't think so. I know it's a philosophy question, but I don't think I am.
But
People listening are as important as the artist making the music.
So
and sometimes, yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, so if you've ever watched this show, which most people don't, I'm just joking. I have a disdain for the current state of Christian hip hop. I am not a fan of Lecrae, and I am definitely not a fan of NF. I think both are horrible.
Hey, Robbie just called and said you can't do this.
I don't care. Robbie's in New Zealand.
I love Lecrae, by the way. It's
Well,
okay to have opinions, though, but you know,
You just state your opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
we're just talking.
There's
Or perspective, right?
with the whole aspect of climbing on the bandwagons of.
Are you talking about in terms of riding a certain type of trend, or are you talking about?
I'm talking
what specifically
personal.
Oh, personal.
Trend.
Okay. Okay.
No, I mean, I like Lecrae first album. You know,
Which one was the Rehab album?
It was the one actually. The
Because
stuff
I
that he
really
did kind
was
of before the
ministered by
Rehab
that
record.
one.
I mean,
really
the one,
liked that one.
the Rehab record, has Sonny on it, but I am just not a fan of the current state of hip hop in general. But
Do you know why, Doug? I'm not saying why specifically for you, but because hip hop is not performing what God made it to do, which was speak words.
Right. Well,
and speak words that glorify God. And if we're not doing that in any music culture, but I'm just saying hip hop is a music of words. And if you're not glorifying God and you're not doing what you're being called to do, even as a culture, you are going to fail.
But I mean, we can probably all agree that like the social consciousness of like we'll say the Public Enemies, the Wu-Tangs, and all of that era of hip hop. You may not agree with some of the things that they're saying, but they were dope.
They made quality
music. There's no denying
quality was consistent.
Right. How they wrote, how the
work ethic
delivered it.
like, yep.
I mean, if anybody has anything bad
what
to
I'm
say about
saying
Chuck
to
D,
reiterate and stay on topic is so are we. We're
Right,
making
well,
quality music.
but that's
you just heard a song from this dude who made the beat, did the lyrics, produced, mix, and it's like that's my point is as God's people, we have so much opportunity. I'm not just talking about go buy our album, go find somebody who glorifies God and support them. Buy everything that they have because Kodak can verify every time we get money for Shadow Locust, album sales, whatever, buying it, what do we do with it, Kodak?
Put it right
do
back
I
into
spend
the
it?
project.
Do I go put it? We literally put it right back into the already stretched. When Kodak or I sit here and mix a song for 12 hours, we do it because we love, the music and specifically giving the gospel into hip hop and putting it out. But nobody's paying for that 12 hours. We're doing that on top of the 10 hours I work at a job almost every day. I'm not trying to, give pity, crybaby tears. I'm just saying there's a math behind it.
Oh, no.
We're support the artists that are loving on God and putting out the music that you like, and you will see them be able to make more. I don't want to go to work. I want to make music all day long. I want to do these Locust albums all day long.
And one thing to add on what you were saying, Dirt, like some folks don't take into account like the amount of like money. Like I put like every cent
Thousands
of every
dollars,
dollar
man.
into my studio setup, into like my board, my monitors, the new software upgrades. Then the time and knowledge to learn this MPCX that I got, like it takes a lot of effort to do that. And then sometimes, and that's one thing it took me a while to kind of grasp and kind of deal with, because dealing with some young folks at my church, they may not like my style. They consider like my style of rap like old school. And I was talking with one of the young guys. And I said, look, I said you're conflating a style with something that's old. I said my style is my style, right? No, there's nobody on the planet Earth that can rap the way I rap. I said, however, your favorite rapper that you like, that you see on TV, everybody rap like he rap. And he's like, oh, I didn't think about that like that. I said, so I'm like, so at the end of the daggum day, it's just a different style. My style may be different. And another one, like for a while I was mentoring a friend of mine. His name is Willie G. Harris, right? He's a local gospel hip hop artist. Well, he doesn't consider himself gospel now, but he's pretty much a Christian, but he does hip hop music that's inspirational. And for a while, I spent time. He actually invested money so I can go buy equipment to then use with Dirt and Shadow the Locust. Spent time recording him in my studio consistently for like 2-3 years. Recording session, mastering his stuff. He's pushing out. And what I did was I took my skills that I learned that I use with Shadow the Locust, that we use to make our projects, invested into him. So he then goes out to local neighborhoods and the hoods and does shows and bring people to Christ, right? And then invest in him.
Right.
His style of rap is sort of like, I wouldn't say it's Lecrae-ish, but it's not. It's I call it new school rap. It's not like, wordsmith pairing words together, triple entendres and you know what I'm saying. It's to me, I consider it simple rap, but simple rap.
It's the structure of supporting.
Absolutely, absolutely.
If
and
you
I
don't
support
these artists, they're not going to make it. I'm surprised that Jeremiah Dirt and Shadow Locust, like you're saying, Doug, is still doing stuff, because there's, golly, man, you're again, it's not crybaby tears. Don't. I'm not saying buy Shadow Locust, but find somebody that loves God, support their music. If you take the money, we're seeing it right now in a lot of the political arenas, in public, where people are starting to get tired of certain agendas and they're stopping.
Pushed.
They're stopping buying certain things, and you're seeing major companies that have been around for decades folding almost because we're taking the money away. Well, I'm just here to say Shadow Locust will gladly accept the money you're taking away from these companies, only because we're going to glorify God with it. And I think that's, what you're getting at too, Kodak. We want to make these albums, and I could show you emails. Doug knows this because I always sometimes get frustrated and I share with him an email every week, bro. I get emails from songs I did that you guys were blessing me tonight and, honoring me and mentioning songs from when I was 17 and 18 years old that I made. And I get emails still to this day. Hey, this song, really spoke to me, ministered to me. And now I'm doing this. And now I have a family. And now I got out of drugs. And that's what I want to do with the money that comes into Jeremiah Dirt or Shadow Locust, Kodak. Let's support. Let us make more. Listen, before, I know we try to keep these shows about 2 hours. I want to, end by playing that Mustard Tree song. But you guys can all go to our, Shadow Locust website is locustfist.com. So go to locustfist.com /AMAC2, AMAC2.
Right.
That stands for A Mighty Army Cometh, which is the name of these 3 album installations we're putting out. We're going to release the second one tentatively July 4th, but we ran into some mastering issues, so it might, be a couple months, but this album is done. Kodak, is it done finally? It's done. We're just got to fix a few things possibly.
He's taking a breath and going, yeah.
Yes.
It's done. This ain't no like, oh, we're going to tell everybody it's done, and then it's not really. It is done. We just ran into a couple mastering issues, so we're trying to fix that. We're gonna have a couple shirt drives, so pay attention. You can go to Locust Fist or on Facebook, Shadow of the Locust. You look that up, you're gonna find our crew. We're gonna do a couple, fundraiser shirt drives like we did on the last album, but support the album. You heard, from a lot of the MCs involved in it, and there's more. Kodak, I always do bad at it. I mean, there's the AM, there's golly, I need some coffee right now.
He said,
I worked so long today, guys.
Right.
I think
right now.
we're all getting to that point because we all work.
Yeah.
We're all like,
Yep.
I worked so long. But if you go to locustfist.com and look at the family tree, I mean, just everybody that's involved is such an awesome crew. So you see the link right here, locustfist.com, AMAC2. You can download 3 of the singles right now. You can listen to the album right now and then get the rest of the 20 tracks on top of those 3 when it comes out in a month or 2. We're going to listen to Mustard Tree, and I'm telling you right now, there's only one thing that's going to possibly be different about this Mustard Tree track. Kodak, I'm calling you out. I wanted you on this track because to me, Mustard Tree was Everybody Loves My Mustard Seed song from all the way back in the late. And so my DJ friend, DJ Elder, who's kind of a Locust at heart, took the samples from that Mustard Seed song from when I was 16, 17, and put it out, and it got distributed nationally, and I got to minister and tour with POD playing that song. Still get called the perform Mustard Seed to this day. So DJ Elder took the Mustard Seed song and separated the samples and then chopped them up differently. So we decided, let's make this the posse track and call it Mustard Tree, the mustard seed, grown up. And I'm just saying, Kodak, there's a few people I really wanted on it because to me it was like wow. I watched Mustard Seed go to Mustard Tree. So
right.
Let's listen to the track. We'll kind of end it out on that, but when you guys get the album later, you might hear Kodak actually finish it out. We'll see.
We'll make it happen.
This one's a longer one, Doug. I don't know if you guys want to end it out on this, but it's all good.
But when it falls until the ground, it produces a great plant and becomes a shelter for birds in the sky.
The track is hot. That's the album cover right there.
25 years of gems, that's plenty live year stratagems. We went from a seed to a tree, all grown up. Shadow of the MCs in the crowd, hands thrown up. I, my chest is fortified. My throat lick shot like a Colt 45. Hollow tip worship the Christ be glorified. When I hit the earth, the dinosaur died. From the dust cloud, sound man, turn it a cloud. I'ma spit lightning back up to the thunder cloud. God, don't forsake me from devils that strong on me. They say I'm crazy cause I never move calmly. Perform songs like I got bombs strapped to me.
It all started with a chapter a day. Was intoxicated myself and realized I needed change. Good medicine, set the groove to a chant. Strike with a blooded edge to be sure to outlast. Double decades plus 5 and it's not done yet.
Let's illustrate.
Locust still here to represent.
Mustard Seed Planet, back in 97, at Sound Monster's boombox. Where the lessons, confessions, and questions on tattered papers. Words were our weapons and scattered prayers. Time to beats and samples and measured in bars. Didn't know our rhymes would take it this far, but here we are. Once a listener, now commissioner. Silla, the M is my signature.
Well qualified,
That's
you
the
Christ.
M.
Work and dedication, move insane with the verbiage. Tough love if you can take it. All for saving private you, so you can feel the holy verb persistent stand true. Although tonight, Shanghai is burning, hold up the silent candle. Feel the break and claim your crown, pick up the mantle. Music is the medicine, so hip-hop brings the injection. The blood of Jesus offers a protection. It all started as a mustard seed and never knocked over. And everything we do, we lift up Jehovah.
Wow, man, it's just so cool to hear these samples rechopped.
Now, take your place at my side.
Oh, Sid.
Never. I'll never turn to the dark side.
Sue me, George Lucas and Disney, please.
Logic coming through, truth represent. No sleep, cousin of death. Foes creep, hunt him instead. Soul clean, Jehovah speak 110. Discussion began, struggle within, hustle while I'm crushing this pen.
That's my boy Logic.
I'm like a farmer llamas when I'm spitting. Flip around, divine lines hit your spine. My God supply the kind of fire, lift the guitar and pie. Wicked, stick in the eye vision. Sick with it, call me vid in the physical. Keep it under the earth, that's why I'm chilling with dirt. Lyrical killers gets realer, feelings are hurting. Fulfilling his purpose as a villain lips to the curb. If you with my bitch,
Logic.
biscuit get disturbed. Devils blipped up, then ripped up, kicking up dust. In my ish, what? Kid, listen up.
I'll never turn to the dark side. I'll never.
Put titles on wicked MC like Tombstone. Let them blow up the microphone. I did feather clothes and chests to spill gems and build the next gen of children for the mission field. Can't fight devils with flex a muscle physique, but by the blessed, precious blood of Jesus. With reverent, humble demeanor, or you can get punched and beat up like the 7 sons of Sceva. No stranger to sin, so bleak and sad. But thank you, Holy Ghost, for smacking us back on beaten path. That's why them Locust hopefuls never stood a chance. Flip reform a Kia and get that name back snatch. You can't.
Oh.
Demons devise evil plans.
I'm hard on this one, dude.
Cram. We done with flunkies, faking funks. Form of godliness, but deny the power thereof. Look, I seen them, they've come and gone. Thinking that yelling and every feature and every song will
Start writing, Kodak.
I like that.
To leeching bottom feed is frauds. Christian rappers dying to be the goat and prevail and level up by riding Jeremiah's coattails. We ain't cellophane packaged in Wu-Tang gloss. These bars don't come from Wizard or Allah. They don't come from Gully Grizzly. Monstrous delivery. This right here is ghost written bars. We get direct deposit from Spirit of Most High God, banging Jesus in eardrums, sparking freedom in your hearts.
Right here, Kodak. Right here. That's it, man. You guys look for the album. Shadow Locust, artist name. The album is A Mighty Army Cometh Volume 2.
Wow, dude, I can't wait. You better have that for me when you come here.
It's Volume 2, and for all you suckers that don't like Shadow Locust, it's Volume 2.
He said, I know, right?
I said peace. That's my peace sign. Golly. I'm handicapped, dude.
Right.
You know why? A lot of people, they don't really ask. They just go, "Oh, you don't have a finger." I cut my finger off when I was making a vocal booth for an old studio.
I remember him posting the video. He posted the video online while he was going through it, right? I think you did. You recorded it.
Of a healing and stuff. No, I after it happened, I had filmed it just for prosperity because I was never going to hopefully see the inside of my hand again. I cut it down here. It wasn't up here. I cut it in my hand. And, I'm just a documentarian. So about 10 minutes after, I'm sitting there having my daughters, call 911. And while I'm waiting, I'm like, well, I guess I'll film it a little bit, But,
do you still have that video?
Well, I have the video, but what happened was this is back in 2004, maybe, I think.
Yep.
And what happened was I shared the video with a couple friends, and one of them knuckleheads put it on YouTube, which at the time was like just starting out. And the video got like he just titled it like, guy cuts his finger off.
Yep.
And this is back when YouTube wasn't like censoring stuff. And the video got like 1 million hits. Bro.
Yep. I got a notification about that back in the day.
Yeah. And I didn't even know. My buddy hits me up like, a year or two later. He's all, "Hey, dude, check out this link." And I go look at it. And it's my freaking video that I privately just shared with him. And it's got like 1 million hits of people just wanting to see somebody with their finger flopping around, But this is what I do for the love of hip hop, y'all. And I got a crew. Shout out Locust. And we all got that same heart. Let's go.
That all I remember is you sending me that video.
It's bad.
You didn't say nothing. You just said, "Hey, watch this."
Oh man.
It's not the greatest visuals. And I always have to note it like I do love the Lord. I am fully sold out, but the language I'm using might cause you to believe that I don't love the Lord, but I do love the Lord. But I always have to tell people it hurt, man. My finger was like flopping around, and so I'm just sitting there like, ah.
You're probably losing your mind.
In the video, if you guys remember, you can hear. I had a neighbor across the street that was literally, senile. He was really old, and I'm sitting there, and there's just blood square. It was like Kill Bill, like the Japanese movies, making that noise too. And this guy comes over and he's, really old, and bless his heart, but I'm in extreme pain and, blood flying everywhere. And he just goes, what'd you do there, bub? And so that's why in the video I get a little irritated. I'm like, I cut my freaking finger off, bro. Like, what do you think I did? But it's all for the love of hip hop, right, Kodak?
Yes, indeed.
How many fingers you got, Kodak? You got them all, right?
All of them.
All right. We can fix that. Let's go. So
that was sound off for tonight. And we are going to push locustfist.com AMAC2. You guys got to get this album. Support these guys. Support this ministry and this movement. And if some
we appreciate it. We love you guys, and we appreciate your support a lot. We really
audio feed 2023 Jeremiah Dirt. July, I believe it's the 2nd, but we'll be there 1st, 2nd, and probably 3rd. So support, come hang out, build that tent out to where it used to be at Cornerstone.
Yes.
All right. Thank you all for joining us. Hopefully next time it'll be Robbie, Johnny, Ricky, and Mike.
That's right.
That sounded like a dope crew right there.
Well, that's right. Ronnie, Bobby,
Ricky,
Mike.
Was it a new edition?
I know, girl. Who cares who you like?
Hey, we'll sign you guys up. Shadow Locust. Let's go.
That's right.
All right. But Shadow Locust, locustfist.com. We'll see you. Album sometime in July, hopefully July 4th.
Yes.
Peace. We're out.
Peace.
Shalom, homies.
The breath in my lungs just can't hold me. No man. Start a revolution. No man control me. Sound off. Start a revolution with the breath in my lungs. Sound off. Sound off.